For decades, Italy's military seemed content with decline, its defense budget among NATO's weakest, and its hardware aging fast. Yet almost overnight, that has changed. Billions more have been spent. A navy is undergoing a major transformation, and fighter jets are now built on Italian soil. What could drive a country from chronic underinvestment to an unprecedented military comeback, one that most of Europe never saw coming? The stakes stretch far beyond Rome, and the reasons are anything but obvious. In 2018, Italy's defense spending hovered at just 1.1% of GDP, translating to roughly 25 billion euros. For years, that figure barely budged, keeping Italy at the bottom tier among NATO allies and leaving critical military programs underfunded. This slow period set the stage for a sharp rebound. But by 2024, the numbers tell a different story. Annual defense budgets now reach between 28 and 30 billion euros, a 19% increase since the late 2000s, and a dramatic rise in just 6 years. The government's official forecasts place spending in 2025 at over 31 billion euros, with further increases already mapped out. The target is clear: reach NATO's 2% of GDP threshold by the early 2030s. To get there, Rome is not just pouring more money into new equipment, it is also expanding the definition of what counts as defense, folding in military pensions, funding for the Carabinieri, and a range of support functions that add billions to the headline figure. Even so, the upward trajectory is unmistakable. Italy is now among Europe's fastest rising defense spenders, outpacing countries like Spain and the Netherlands, and closing in on Poland's pre-2022 levels. The fiscal commitment is no longer theoretical. Billions in fresh contracts, multi-year procurement schedules, and new cash flows for ships, jets, and armored vehicles are locked into law. For the first time in a generation, the numbers themselves reveal a country in the midst of a military transformation, one that few inside or outside Italy would have predicted just a decade ago. Inside Rome's marble corridors, the surge in defense spending became a test of political will as much as national security. The pressure came from three directions: NATO's insistent calls for burden sharing, the specter of Russian aggression in the Black Sea and the Mediterranean, and a drumbeat of instability across North Africa. At the center of this campaign stood Lorenzo Guerini, who served as defense minister from 2019 to 2022. Guerini, a former mayor with a reputation for quiet persistence, worked the levers of parliamentary power behind closed doors. He summoned committee members to confidential briefings, armed with classified intelligence reports and blunt warnings about operational gaps, especially after Russian naval maneuvers rattled Italian commanders. In those sessions, Guerini did not just cite alliance obligations. He described vulnerabilities in stark terms, pointing to aging ships, delayed fighter contracts, and the real risk of being outpaced by rivals. The urgency of these warnings translated into action. Parliamentary budget committees, often split along party lines, found themselves rallying behind multi-year procurement bills. Guerini's team mapped out a procurement spree: frigates, patrol ships, next-generation jets, locking in contracts that would stretch well into the next decade. The government recast defense accounting, folding in Carabinieri and military pensions to meet NATO's metrics. But the core message was unmistakable. Italy could no longer afford to lag behind. As the votes came in, billions of euros were committed to new platforms and upgrades, setting the stage for the largest military modernization in a generation. The money began to flow, not as a trickle, but as a deliberate torrent. aimed at closing the gap between Italy's ambitions and its capabilities. Italian shipyards are running at a pace not seen since the Cold War. In the docks at Riva Trigoso and Muggiano, Fincantieri engineers oversee the assembly of the FREMM frigates, multi-role warships that now form the backbone of the Italian fleet. These ships are designed for anti-submarine, anti-air, and surface warfare, combining stealth profiles with advanced radar and missile systems. By 2035, 10 FREMM and FREMM Evo variants will patrol Italian and NATO waters, their sensors and weapon suites tailored for the unpredictable demands of the Mediterranean. Alongside the frigates, the PPA Théon D. Revel class marks a leap in modular naval design. 7 vessels are scheduled for delivery by 2030, each capable of switching roles from patrol to full combat through plug-and-play mission modules. The first prototype faced a crisis in 2019 when a hull vibration issue forced a halt in the program. Fincantieri teams raced to redesign the hull and power systems, with internal disputes over engineering fixes spilling into late-night meetings. The solution, costly but effective, preserved export prospects and kept the fleet renewal on track. Today, the PPAs are prized for their automation and flexibility, able to escort carrier groups or enforce embargoes with equal efficiency. The arrival of the Trieste landing helicopter dock extends Italy's reach. This 33,000-ton vessel can launch amphibious assaults, serve as a floating hospital, or operate as a light carrier. Upgrades to the Cavour aircraft carrier now allow it to field F-35B jets, restoring Italy's fixed-wing carrier aviation. Supporting this blue water leap, logistics hubs in Taranto and Augusta have been expanded, enabling rapid resupply and high-tempo operations. The Navy's transformation is visible not only in new hulls, but in the daily routines of crews training for complex, multi-domain missions across the Mediterranean. On a stretch of tarmac outside Novara, the thunder of jet engines blends with the steady rhythm of factory shifts. Italy's future in the air is taking shape at Cameri, home to the only full F-35 assembly and checkout line outside the United States. Here, Italian technicians and engineers work shoulder to shoulder with American and Dutch colleagues, assembling wings, fitting avionics, and running final checks on 5th-generation fighters destined for squadrons across Europe. For many, the pride is personal. Some have spent decades in the aerospace sector, weathering years of political debate and budget freezes. During the most heated controversies in Rome, workers at Cameri organized open letters and rallies, arguing that every jet built was a vote for Italy's strategic future and its place in NATO's most advanced network. Italy's order is split: 60 F-35A models for the Air Force and 30 F-35B aircraft with short takeoff and vertical landing capability. That mix is not just a technical detail. It allows Italy to field stealth fighters from both traditional runways and the decks of its carriers. The return of fixed-wing naval aviation after a long absence has restored a capability once thought lost. In 2021, the Cavour carrier completed its Atlantic crossing and F-35B certification, a milestone marked by tense moments and technical glitches, but also by the elation of Italian and American pilots sharing the deck. Crew diaries from that voyage describe the relief and pride that swept through the ship when the final landing was logged. Italian F-35s have since become a familiar sight in NATO's forward deployments. In 2021, 4 F-35As flew more than 400 sorties from Lithuania, standing guard over the Baltic. The following year, Italian jets rotated to Romania, flying vigilance missions along the Black Sea and the eastern flank. Each deployment deepens Italy's integration into the alliance's fifth-generation air network, connecting the work of factory engineers in Cameri to pilots on the front lines. The air domain, once lagging behind, now stands as a pillar of Italy's renewed military presence. Italy's defense priorities now revolve around the Mediterraneo allargato doctrine, a strategy that stretches the country's focus far beyond its own shores. This approach defines Italy's main security interests as spanning from the central Mediterranean to North Africa, the Levant, the Sahel, and the Black Sea. Italian forces are no longer concentrated at home. They are forward deployed across a broad arc of instability and opportunity. In Lebanon, Italian peacekeepers continue to lead the UNIFIL mission, responsible for the volatile western sector near the Israeli border. Off the coast of Libya, Italian patrol vessels and surveillance aircraft maintain a persistent presence, monitoring arms flows and migration routes while supporting EU operations. In the eastern Mediterranean, Italian naval groups and F-35 squadrons rotate through NATO missions, reinforcing airspace security and deterring Russian naval activity. Each deployment is a direct expression of the new doctrine, projecting Italian power and influence wherever Mediterranean security is at stake. Modernization on land has given Italian brigades new teeth. The Ariete main battle tank, once a symbol of lingering Cold War limitations, is now receiving a comprehensive midlife upgrade, new armor, digital fire control, and a power pack designed for the next decade's threats. Alongside it, the Freccia infantry fighting vehicle and Centauro Tutu wheeled tank destroyer have entered service, bringing greater mobility and protection to mechanized units. Italian troops in Lebanon have already reported that the Freccia's improved survivability has changed the reality of patrols along tense borders. Investments in drones, electronic warfare, and digital command systems have transformed the Army's ability to react quickly and operate across domains. These upgrades place Italy in the top 5 for defense spending among EU countries, ahead of Spain and the Netherlands, and on par with Poland before 2022. Industrial ambition matches operational needs. Italy is a key partner in the GCAP 6th generation fighter program, signaling a determination to shape Europe's defense future as much as its own. Italy now stands among NATO's top 5 defense spenders, its fleets, doctrine, and industry aligned for a new era of Mediterranean power. As Europe's security landscape shifts, Italy's resurgence is not just national pride. It is a strategic stake in a region where stability grows more uncertain every year.